16% of America's public school students are Black, but they represent 27% of students referred by schools to law enforcement, and 31% of students arrested for an offense committed in school. Have you heard of the school-to-prison pipeline?
I have.
Yes, I have.
No, I haven't.
No. No.
The school-to-prison pipeline is defined as policies such as the zero-tolerance policy that pulls students out of school and into jail cells.
What was the reason, sir?
Yes, what is the reason, sir?
What is the reason, sir?
What am I getting arrested for?
I think it's a little ridiculous, to be honest. I don't think it's fair to push kids into prison just because of where they're from, and everybody makes mistakes. You know, having more people looking over your shoulder than you would have if you grew up in a better town with, you know, better resources is kind of, it is unfair to the people who go there, and it also doesn't give them a chance at having a productive childhood and learning experience and then like a productive adult life.
So the school to prison pipeline is the phrase and the term that's used to refer to the system of education in the United States that depletes resources from children of low-income communities in areas that have lower economic resources, predominantly children of color, that then creates a trend of those children being much more likely than their peers at higher income schools, higher resource schools in higher income areas. Children from lower income schools are much more likely to be incarcerated, particularly young men of color are about 7 times more likely than their white peers to be incarcerated throughout their lifetime.
There are more African American men incarcerated in the U.S. than the total prison populations in India, Argentina, Canada, Lebanon, Japan, Germany, Finland, Israel, and England combined.
When you have no jobs and there is no future, and the only factory that opens up where you live is a, $2 million a day drug trade in your city that is offering employment down on the corner, you're basically consigning those kids to that.
I think it impacts them in the way that they feel like devalued. Obviously, there are certain kids in the school who aren't treated this way, and so the students who do get this type of treatment, I'm sure it makes them feel like, why do I not have a chance the way everyone else does? Why are the odds already pitted against me, and why am I not being given a fair chance?
We releasing them with no money, telling them they can't get a job, they can't get welfare, they can't get nothing. So what alternative do they have but to commit crime? People going to eat.
I'm a convicted felon, so it's hard for me just to go places to fill out applications. I can go fill them out, but that don't mean I'm gonna get the job. Every job I had is because I knew somebody on the inside and I got the job. Not because I went and filled out the application, they called me back for the interview. That never happened. Never in my 31 years of living.
I'm trying to be this good guy, I'm trying to be this citizen, but I can't. Ain't nobody giving me a chance.
In New York State, 40% of all inmates who are released will wind up back in prison within 3 years.
With roughly 700,000 inmates being released each year from federal and state-run prisons, more than 40% of the 700,000 released will be back in prison the next year. But it was found that when an inmate takes college classes, he's 16% less likely to return to prison. Younger prisoners who took advantage of the high school classes being offered and graduated with a GED are 25% less likely to recidivate.
Yeah, I feel very strongly that we should be providing education within prison systems. I was working with a community, and their prison system in their state was doing a better job at educating kids than schools. So they had a higher graduation, they had a higher GED or high school diploma equivalency rate for people inside than they did in their public school system. And I think if we're talking about incarceration as something that should be rehabilitative, if there are people that are going to get out someday, or people that just are inside and want to create a life for themselves inside, if that's what we're saying, then education absolutely has to be a part of that.
I think a solution is that, well, for one, a lot of these schools are really overpopulated, and two, I think that yes, you do need, I mean, obviously, like, students just can't run around rampant, but, you know, when you have to walk into your school and you have to walk through a metal detector just to get to class, and it's not an environment that's conducive to learning at all. And so I think that that presence, it welcomes bad behavior.
Policy motivates more police involvement in schools. Harsh tactics include physical restraint and automatic punishments that result in suspensions and out-of-class time.
Act a certain way. So maybe if students just weren't treated like criminals from the beginning and they were just treated like students, then I think that would be a good solution.